Hi guys, thanks for joining. If you're online, we have a very exciting conversation coming up. If you like sports and you like Indian sports, this is the conversation to listen to. If you guys don't know, India are world champions in football. It's something we don't get to say that often, but we managed to win the Gothia Cup, and which is considered the Youth World Cup. We have with us today the owner of the team that won it. So once he joins, we can get this conversation started. I will introduce you. Mr. Ranjit Bajaj there he is. He has joined us. Okay, hang on. Hey Ranjit, how are you doing?
Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
Thanks so much for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. Sorry, Ranjit, I'm just adjusting this a little bit. Well, firstly, congratulations. Let me give our audience a bit of a preview and what we're going to talk about a little bit. Firstly, I'm going to start off with saying that Indian football are world champions. Okay, it is not a statement that you get to hear a lot, but I am very excited that I can say it. I can see the excitement on your face, Ranjit. And what I mean by this is, if you aren't aware, India won the Gothia Cup, which is considered the Youth World Cup in football. It's had former players like Zlatan, Xabi Alonso, Alan Shearer that have played in this tournament. So it's not just some random football tournament that we won. It's got players from over 60 countries that participated, and this year, not a team not from Brazil, a team not from Spain or anywhere else has won, but our very own Minerva Academy FC has won this. So it's a very exciting moment for Indian football and Indian sports. And with us today is Mr. Ranjit Bajaj, the owner of Minerva Academy FC. If you see his article on goal.com, the headline says he is the man who has won it all. So it's quite an exciting headline. Teams that he's been involved in have won at every age group in Indian football. He was also appointed the chairman of the committee of administrators that was working in charge of the AIFF. So, Ranjit, thank you for joining us. We want to talk a little bit about, of course, the win in Gothia, but also get your views on the future of football. For us, football fans and just sports fans in general, it's very exciting to see what is happening. So welcome. Thanks for joining us and thanks for taking the time out.
Thank you so much for having me. And this is a conversation we need to be having now and till the time we get there. And when I say there, means getting to the World Cup, the main one. So see, like you said, it's only proven to be a big tournament when you see the number of countries who've taken part and what they have done after they played the tournament. So like the guys you named, like Alan Shearer, Zlatan, Pirlo, Batistuta, all these guys have played there. This year there was Rooney's son also, Kai Rooney, came into play and they lost in the semi-final in English grammar school or something like that. So this is a great testing ground, and even people from South America believe it. So the Bolivian team in 1994 was made up of 9 boys who won the under-19 in the Gothia Cup. So they actually did it. They did it this way. And that was the aim. If you want to compete with the world's best, and talking about the World Cup, you need to actually compete with them on a daily basis. And it's not only in the World Cup when you get to the seniors, because it's too late then. So you need to prove it on a daily basis to yourself and to your countrymen and to everyone else and the world. So that when you play us, we've been beating you for 10 years now, and we're going to beat you again. But that doesn't happen with India, because the first time if India is going to ever play, like in the Asian Games, it's shameful, but we've qualified 3 times. So and we've been a gold medalist earlier. So we haven't qualified for the last 20 years, and twice in the last 20 years we qualified. And that's qualifying for the Asian Cup. So if it was that Indians have never done it before, it would be more difficult. But that's why we don't know. And even I had to actually do some research when I came to know, and some fascinating facts, that we were in the top 10 in the world till 1950s and 60s. We were beating France in 1970. We were the Asian Games gold medalists. We were beating Korea for fun. So if you've done that before, that belief which came in, then we can do it definitely again. Now, what happened was in the period of 70s to 2000s, hockey and football both died out. Now, hockey was always named as the national sport of India. So we had a special connect to hockey because of the number of gold medals we had won. If we had gone to the World Cup, trust me, we would have done very well then. But unfortunately, we never went, and the Olympics were always regarded as higher. And we did really well in the Olympics as well. So we were almost bronze medalists. We lost to Australia in '64. And in Australia, we did really well. So the whole pattern was based on the fact that Indians are good enough because we've had a revival in hockey. They've done it because the world got really far from us because they started playing on turfs. In India, in the year
Sorry, Ranjit, your sound has gone off. Yeah.
So
Yes.
in
Now,
India, there were
now I
20
can hear
turfs.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 turfs. And now there are over 2,000 turfs. I mean, in every city, you'll have an hockey turf. So the ground they were playing on became as good as any international level, and then they could compete with the best. Now we go and thrash Germany in Germany, Spain in Spain, Korea in Korea. I mean, all the teams which do well in football somehow do well in hockey. Even when you go to South America, it's Argentina and Uruguay who are really good in hockey.
Yeah.
But somehow India is not being able to do that. It's a team game. And if you're able to compete with the Europeans in hockey, okay, sorry, yeah, you can definitely do that here in football. And then it was about proof. And it all lies in the proof. Results, the two things in life, results and reasons don't count. So it was all about getting India to believe that we can do it because everybody thought it's not going to happen. Everybody used to be honest with ourselves and seeing where we are right now, it's not going to happen. So my entire plan was we waiting for the first Mohamed Salah. The moment we get that first lad, the kind of revolution which will happen in Indian football will be immense. See, we're going about it the wrong way. Why? Because
So
we are
let
trying.
me ask you that. I'm
Yeah.
just going to jump in there for a second, right? So if you look at, and this has happened not just in India, but in global sports and in multiple countries where you see success at the under 13, under 15 level, but it doesn't necessarily translate into the senior game. Not just in football, but in all sports, right? So how do we capitalize on this success that we have? And you have a young Indian population that's a big football population outside of what we have in cricket. How do we, and of course we've had the success with Minerva right now. How do we translate that to make sure that we don't repeat the same mistakes?
You're so right. You're so right. And that's the problem we had was that we used to start preparing for international tournaments when the tournaments used to come up. For example, the Under 17 World Cup, which happened in India, the Football World Cup, we started preparing for, and we were hosting it, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. We started preparing for it a year and a half before that. So we selected the best 60, 70 boys, and that scouting was nothing much to ask for because they didn't select the best boys. They had a budget of 20 crores because the World Cup was being hosted in India and we wanted to put up a good show. So they thought it prudent to be spending that 20 crores in the 6 months they had. So they took them on 20 country tour for 3 months. Okay. And that does not help because you saw what happened in the World Cup. Now, then they played the same, when they came back from the 20 country tour, I invited, we were under 17 and under 18, under 15 champs. So we said, we want to have a friendly match with you, with the Indian team. So Minerva traveled to Goa with my under 15 and under 17 team. Minerva beat the Indian World Cup under 17 and under 15 team. Then they selected 9 of the boys from Minerva, 4 who went on to play in the World Cup. The only goal we ever scored in the World Cup is Jackson Singh, who was a Minervan. And this boy, Jackson, was with me for 2 years because in Indians start football at the age of 12 or 13 or 15. And I realized that we almost competed with the world level with 1 year of training, 1.5 years of solid training. Now, if we took that...
So is that the training aspect that's missing, or is it the time, or what is it?
No, it's not starting at the right age. It's starting too late. At the age of 14, 15, 16, you already know in Europe, you already know if you're going to be a world-class footballer. Okay? And that's the age Premier Academies start shunting out players because the ones they know by their age if you're going to make it or not. I mean, the serious stuff.
Right.
And that means you start by the age of 6 and 7. That's how early you have to start. See, there's a protein in the brain called, and brain everywhere in your body called myelin. And this protein is responsible for on the sheets of your axiom of your muscles, it's the fast connect protein which gives you muscle memory. And muscle memory, myelin, the protein, is maximum produced between the ages of 6 and 13. Then it starts dying out. For example, you are lefty or righty?
Righty.
Okay. So if I tell you that, okay, I'm going to give you 3 months, you're going to become a lefty as good as you are right now, and you're going to train for 6 hours a day, whatever. Do you think you'll be able to do that at this age?
Tough.
Very tough. If I ask a 6-year-old to become a lefty from a righty within 6 months, no problem. Those connections are not formed. So what happens is that by the time they get to us, that means they are all selected for some national team or whatever, the habits they have formed, the techniques which have been formed are all wrong. So it's not possible to rework those connections. That is why people who played with Messi for 20 years in the Spanish league have not become Messi. So the fallacy is that you play with best players and you become them. No, you do improve. Obviously you improve, but you improve very little after the age of 16, 17, 18, technically. Tactically, yes. Strength, physical endurance, yes. Technically, no. Very little. So those, to rework those actions, so 10,000 hours, the famous thing, is how soon you have those 10,000 hours. Now that imagine if I'm making so how did we dominate? So I had these coaches from abroad, from Germany, from Spain, come up to me and say, from Technic Football Academy in Spain, which follows Johan Cruyff's model. And if you go to their website, the first video you see is Johan Cruyff talking that these are our principles. So the first principle was that we never hit a long ball. We always pass out from the box, short passes, short passes. So the coach of Technic Football Academy came and told me, you're the first team which has made us go against our principles. We hit the ball long. We've taken goal kicks which are going long. We actually played. He's joking. I played the English way today.
Right.
English way is a long ball.
Yeah.
So, and then the Sweden coach coming and telling me that I've been in coaching for the last 30 years and I've been playing in Gothia Cup for 30 years. I've never seen these boys like this. So it's not about technical ability where they were good. The skills, yes, they were good, but they were able to perform those skills for the entire 50 minutes at the same level.
That's the key. Yeah.
The fitness of these boys, what we made sure was we didn't let the other team show their Brazilian skill or their Spanish passing because we didn't let them take their faces up. The moment you let someone get your head up in football, that means he's able to scan and he's able to look for his options. If the guy is right here in front of you, you can only look down because you're controlling the ball. If he's this close, he can take the ball away from you.
So this is, sorry, go ahead.
So when Man City won the league with 100 points, their VO2 max was by far 20% above the second team. And that's why they had the high pressing team. So if you can't be technically as good as Messi, you make sure Messi does not get the bloody ball. If he doesn't get the ball, he's not Messi. He's just a 5'4" guy on the pitch.
Yeah.
And that was the philosophy, that we Indians can never be as big as the Nigerians. We Indians can never be as fast probably as the other teams are. But what we can do is we can be fitter than them. So I don't believe in talent. What we believe in is hard work. If the talent is working for 4 hours, so how do I believe so much that my boys will not only get to the World Cup, we will do very well? Because the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds abroad do not work for more than 4 days a week. We do it 6 days a week, morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening. Each of these boys are already, they're 13, but they're already on 25 to 3,000 hours of football.
Wow. So, okay, so just going back to translating this to how we develop this in Indian football. One is starting early. And of course, then is the training hours and the strategy that's involved in it. So in terms of what is currently there in the infrastructure, because I think that's what a lot of people would be interested in, let's say, replicating and creating 50 to 100 Minerva academies across India, right? So because that's the only way. So
I've been saying this.
So if we were to understand your viewpoint in terms of what is the infrastructure that's required, what is the infrastructure that's currently there, and how do we bridge this gap?
See, I've been saying it and I've been shouting it out from the rooftops. You need 100 Minervas. And when I say Minervas, not my Minervas, what we are doing.
Right.
Why? Because what we are doing is not based because I am rich. That's why everyone can do it. It's not rocket science. And that's why even the poorest countries in the world can compete in football. Otherwise, we would only see rich countries playing the World Cup.
Right.
So it's got nothing to do with money. Otherwise, Brazil wouldn't have won 5 World Cups.
So how do we do it? What do we need to do?
So we need, first of all, you need to have everybody focus on the youth, which who's doing? No one is doing. I'll give you an example. ISL clubs. So see, people say I'm anti-ISL. I'm not. I'm pissed off with all of them because they can do so much more. So much more than who? So much more than me. Because I don't have those resources. If you give me those resources, oh my God, I'll make you world champions still in 2034. But I'll make you world champions then, not even just participating. So they get 2 crores a year to run their under 13, 15, 18 teams from FSDM. So I count success by not what you have made. People say, yes, see, our youth program works because we get players to play for our club. No, your youth program works if you get people to play for your country. That's when it works. Because you need to produce players. The pool of players you need to have in our country is you need to have it huge. The players in India are earning salaries which are not concurrent with the world market. That means if even now Indians do get contracts abroad, they will not go abroad. So we've actually screwed ourselves because the top Indian here who's earning 4, 5 crores won't get more than $3,000 a month in the Spanish second or third division. No chance.
Okay.
Now, how do these big teams, how does Iran, I'm just going to name the usual suspects, South Korea, Japan, because they're our main competition in Asia. How do they make the World Cup? Do they make it by making their team, their league, the best league in the world? No. All the players of the Japan national team play in Europe. Right. All the players of South Korean national team play in Europe. When we have 7 to 8 Indians playing in Europe, that's the day we're going to reach the World Cup. When will we have 7 to 8 Indians playing in Europe? When my Indians are kicking their ass on a daily basis till the age of 17, then they'll take them. Until we've got proof of the pudding. So in 2 years, they've gone and won 2 tournaments.
So I would love your view on this. So I'm going to pin you down a little bit here.
Yes,
how do we get there, right? How do we get there, right? Because I think that I'm in full agreement that, you know what, we need to have the youth, once you're beating them, they'll assign them young and then pay them the big contracts, right?
Okay.
What infrastructure is required and what does each city, whether it's the authorities, whether it's the ISL teams, what needs to be done to get there?
To focus this. So like I was saying, they're getting 2 crores a year. How many players have we produced for India in the last 10 years? 0. 10 academies, 0. Okay. I get no support. How many players have I produced for India? 150 in the last 7 years.
Okay.
So what do I have? Rocket science? No. It's simple. You have a youth academy, which is your factory. You have to make sure 30% of your team comes from your academy. That's how much you have to focus on it. Manchester United does not need money. They can go and buy any player in the world. Yes.
So you would be proposing that you have a regulation in the ISL that 30% of your players must come from your feeder academy, which
from
becomes a feeder from your own
yes.
academy, which becomes a kind of feeder academy to the ISL.
See,
and
that is actually killing my business. See, I'm the only academy which is selling players.
So
but
you're
if India needs to get there,
right. So then what happens then? The ISL team's ownership are in a way kind of required to focus on this academy because they are obligated to kind of sign talent from that academy. That's step one. Okay.
Exactly. So Man U doesn't have a rule, but for the last 50 years, they've never had a first 11 without an academy product. How unbelievable is that? Same with Barcelona. See, these clubs don't need money, but they understand the importance of grassroots and developing your own players. Doesn't matter how much money you get. So that's why Man City, the first thing they did before buying all the players was spend 100 million on the academy structure there. So in 5 years, they won't have to make all these signings. And it's already been 5 years. They've got a world-class academy.
Got it. Okay, so that's a great point, right? Make it. This is a good regulation suggestion, possibly where a team kind of has it, where then you are obligated to have multiple great academies.
That's one.
In a way.
That's one. Second, Japan had a plan 2100. That means they had a plan for 100 years in 2000. So they were planning for children who were not even born yet, great-grandchildren. That's what the planning has to be. So the Olympic and the World Cup comes after every 4 years, but you prepare for it all your life. It's the culmination on that 4 years. So they plan in such a methodical way. The Japanese school system is so brilliant that their school games are attended by over 50 to 60,000 people. And the level of football, school football, is comparable to our I League or even ISL clubs. And I'm not kidding, because our junior teams go and lose to them 14 to 15-0. And that's why I think we should go and now play them in the school system. Then we get it. So unless and until we have a plan, and how do we have a plan? So they have a plan called Vision 2047. In that vision, you don't need to just have a vision. You need to be working backwards with achievable milestones which you tick off every single year to see whether you're reaching there or not. So if you're saying 2047, their vision was that by 2026, we are going to get to the Under-17 World Cup on merit. That means by 2025, you need to be in the AFC top 4, under-16s. That means by 2024, you need to have at least an Indian under-15 team.
Right. Which doesn't, okay. So we're off track a little bit.
That's where we start. So unless these, one thing, sorry. So
no, go ahead.
We have to see what, we have to see that, what are the other people who are the top 4 doing? So their under 16 or under 15 teams play 30 to 40 matches a year. We don't have a team. Again, we'll get excited about it 1.5 years, 1 year before, when the government passes the budget, and then Sports Authority of India comes in, because AFF does not have enough money that they can also sustain a junior 16, 15, 13, 12, 9, and that's what has to be done. So that's why I took it on myself. So my plan is World Cup 2034. The entire batch is known as World Cup 2034. That I'm going to, if worst comes to worst, I'm going to get us there. So unless you have huge audacious dreams and you work, it's not about having those dreams. It's about eating, breathing, sleeping only that dream for the next 20 years. And that's what I did in 2018. We selected 100 boys from all over India, from all the states. Wherever, so which states could we go to? Only the states which had baby leagues, because we were selecting babies from the ages of 6 to 8. So that cut us down to only 4 states. We went to those 4 states, got 100 boys, 10-year scholarships from 6 to 16, 100, everything paid for. So the parents, why did they send them? So what happens abroad is the kids don't go and join residential academies till the age of 11 or 12, max, minimum, because they want to live with their parents. That's the advantage we have in India. People don't realize that. That parents, to make their kids having a better life, are willing to make that sacrifice. So they did that. Now these boys, because in 3 years, became so good, they're world beaters. If my aim is every single year, these boys are taken to world-class tournaments where we check ourselves out against the best teams in the world, and either we tweak depending on what the results are, or we know that we are going in the right direction. But this needs to be checked every year. So if I was AIFF, I would be making an Indian team and taking them abroad every year once, not 20 towards just before the cup.
Understood. So you talked a little bit about the funding situation, right? Because if we need to have, like you're saying, and I know Europe has this, right? Where you have leagues and you have teams at every age category, right? You don't just have at your just before seniors and then seniors and things like that. Is this a funding issue? Fundamentally, is funding one of, not only, but is it one of the roadblocks?
No, it's a priority issue.
It's a priority.
People don't understand. People are taking, the ones who are into football are very commercial, and they're looking for immediate results because they're senior clubs. That means Mohun Bagan doesn't care if they win the junior title. East Bengal, Bengaluru FC, all these guys, they don't care if they win the junior title. They only care for the senior. But they only care for that year. If they start caring about their academy like Minerva did, we keep producing players every single year. We're the factory. They won't need to pay that much. They would have their budget and they would produce players for India. So
yeah, but wouldn't you say, and this is, I love your opinion on this, Ranjit, wouldn't you say that even if you get the ISL teams to focus on their academy, I think it's a good start. But if it's not going to get us to 100 Minerva academies, right?
No, see, why not? See, why their coaches are better than me. My coaches. Okay, I've got Indians here, and I'm not disrespecting Indians. They got pro licenses who coach in UEFA and all that stuff. So
yeah.
technically, tactically, okay, they're better than me. Okay, their physical trainers are better than me. Their grounds and facilities are better than me. They've got more money to spend on the kids' diets than me. They've got sports. They've got the entire thing on their disposal of a senior European club, because ISL clubs are as rich as that now. Imagine the kind of player they can make if they
No,
focus on it.
I'm not denying that. But how do we, outside of the ISL, where do we
Okay,
need to focus on terms of, for example, in terms of scouting talent?
to make it profitable for academies. So they're
Got
not,
it. Okay.
either you need 100 crazy, that's why they're not 100 Minerva Academies, because they're not 100 crazies like me. Okay.
Okay.
So you need to have a lose not to do what I'm doing, that I'm spending all my life savings and all my life money on just these boys. Because that's what my wife keeps on telling me, that you're going to make us bankrupt. So Punjab mein kehte tu phande bikoega. So that means you're going to get the utensils sold. But I tell her that these are my FDs, they're my fixed deposits. They're going to mature after 10 years and they're going to mature for the country. See, I believe that so I fought for it. I fought for player compensation, which happens in Europe, that if an academy produces a boy, every signing that boy makes till the age of 23, the academy, depending on how long the boy has been in the academy, gets 1 or 2%. All academies abroad run on that money, because, for example, the moment, even if you have one of your boys making the top team in Europe in every 3-4 years, and he gets a couple of $1 million, you get around $100,000, $50,000, and that's good enough to take care of your academy for the year, even one boy. So every signing he makes, they're going to keep getting that. That's more
Right.
incentive for them to produce players. Right now in India, what happens is the smaller academies, these bigger clubs just come and poach the players. They don't have to pay him anything. So what is the incentive for a guy to open an academy in India? That's why everybody just wants to do clubs, because, I mean, you just sign the player, pay him a little bit more, and you don't
Got
need
it.
to produce it. You just got the ready-made product in your
So,
hand.
but
But that's
isn't
what works.
okay? So basically, what you're saying is, if people are incentivized that if you develop talent and a team acquires that talent, you will get paid for it, and
Yes,
that model then becomes a model where people would say, listen, this is a good business to be in because I love the sport, I
exactly.
can develop the talent,
Exactly.
and when I sell that talent in oh, I guess a way to frame it is when I sell that
See,
talent, I will get a
even
price for
people
it.
with my passion can't do it, right now.
Right.
Even if you
Okay.
make it somewhat sustainable, that okay, you don't make millions, but you don't lose money by the buckets if you're just running an academy, because end of the day, those boys at the age of 17, 18 will just leave you and get salaries, and you are never going to hear from them again. So
Okay.
what is the point of doing this?
Got it. So the other thing that I wanted to discuss with you is in terms of, let's say we start early. Let's say we get the rules in for the academies, allow academies to make a profit and make it financially sustainable for them. What is the situation today in India in terms of two areas? One is scouting the talent, and secondly is, do we have the infrastructure? I don't mean the physical infrastructure. I mean the coaching infrastructure to develop that talent.
No. So I'm very, very pertinent question, because I'll just give you an example. Japan has more goalkeeping coaches than the total number of coaches in India: A license, B license, C license, D license, and goalkeeping coaches. That's how far back we are.
Okay.
So what's happening? The best coaches, qualified, I mean, are with the ISL and ID clubs, and even the second division clubs. So what's left? Again, no disrespect. Somebody who's got a D license has been into the coaching only for 6 months. So who are the ones who are teaching my 6, 7, 8-year-olds? Not Minerva, I'm talking about the entire country. They're ones who are the lowest licensed coaches. They're the ones developing my
So
grassroots.
so
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 we
along with
don't need
developing these
that. We
academies,
need, okay.
we need a coaching academy now.
So yes. So what did Minerva do? I realized that coaching, they had become very not affordable at all for the normal man. So I took it on myself. So last year we have conducted around 27 courses, D, C, B, A, with the help of AIFF. I have brought down the prices to 50%. Whatever the course price was, I brought it down to 50% because I took the hit. AIFF took the same money, I took the hit. And we produced over 1,000 coaches last year, one academy.
Wow.
So if one academy can do that, coaches, physios, this, that, infrastructure, if one academy can do that, why not everybody else? So see,
Got it.
again, Again, I'm not doing rocket science. It's being done all over. I'm following the best practices in the world.
No,
But I'm
understood. So
doing
when
it,
you,
yeah, but I'm doing it in the way which is sustainable. And now
yeah,
the
got
same,
it.
yeah, same way I was able to sell a club, the same way now I'm able to sell players, even though it's not as good as Europe, but at least I'm not bleeding like I was 6 years ago.
Got it. Got it. Now, in terms of scouting, what about the infrastructure? Because a lot of people say football is very scouted very regionally. You know, it used to be the case, I think, many years ago in cricket. But today, cricket, you have players from every state in India. Is that? Would you agree with that,
We've
or
got
would
to
you not agree with
learn.
that?
We've got to learn from cricket. We've got to learn from them. Give hats off to them because their grassroots is something we got to learn from.
Yeah,
Their every the kind of structure that is why they're able to now be able to put up a world beating team in all three 2020 and test and
yeah,
that.
yeah,
So we don't. So the question we used to keep asking when we were growing up, who's the next Tendulkar? Or before that, it was the next Gavaskar, and then now Tendulkar. Then it became the next Dhoni. It became the Virat Kohli. Now the question has died out. Can you believe it? No one is asking who's the next Virat Kohli, because there are hundreds of them coming up. The question is still now being asked, at least it's being asked, who's the next Sunil Chetri?
yeah,
And we've not been able to answer that.
yeah,
That's starting in football. So the moment you have grassroots and you expand your grassroots, that is when you're going. So when you say regional, very regional. When they say football is very popular in Bengal, it is, but you're killing football in Bengal. Why? Because the winner of only the Calcutta League is the one who goes and plays. What about 24th North Paraganas? What about Siliguri? What about all the other areas in Bengal? Same in Maharashtra, by the way. What about Kolhapur? What about Pune? Only the Mumbai League winner goes on and plays there. Then we have a small state, Manipur, Mizoram, the northeast belt, and Assam, little bit Meghalaya and all. Then we have little bit of, we have Punjab, we have Kerala, and Goa. So all the states I've named are the smallest states in India. So when we say we make a team from 1.4 billion, we don't. We make a team from these small states, so it's around 10 crores. And the capital cities, Mumbai and Calcutta. So it is very regional. So when we do our scouting, we've realized that you will find the best players never in the capital cities. Why? Because the capital cities are the only places which are saturated with academies. And they would have found the talent. And the talent would have found them. You need to go to the farthest area and you will find, see the first ever Mohamed Salah or the Indian Messi has already been born. He's just to be found. I already believe that. The guy
yeah,
to play for Europe is already been, he's somewhere there. And maybe
yeah,
he's already in my academy and we don't know it yet. But he's there. And and all the boys, these world beaters I found, are from far off districts in Manipur, which took me from one district to go to the other district 7, 7, 8 hours. But we found these gems. So if you actually go to the corners of India and do proper scouting, and that's where the state FAs come in. So the whole problem in India is the state FAs don't follow the sports code, national sports code, because they say sports is a state subject. AFF has certain rules that you need to be having a senior national, junior national, women's, boys, girls. So there are some states, some 90, 80% of them, who do not have any leagues. The
yeah.
biggest state in India, Uttar Pradesh, which is bigger than Europe in or US in population, does not have a league. But does that mean there are no footballers there? No, there are millions. But how do you see them? There's no platform. And that's the same thing in Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Himachal, all these places.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any leagues there, I'm not even talking about junior leagues, right? I'm talking about senior state leagues, there are no leagues. So that means 50% of the population of the country is not even playing to be able to select. And do they play? I mean, are there footballers there? Yes.
Of course.
Are there clubs there? Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you, I guess after all this, when we talked about, and some insightful points, Ranjit, we talked about starting at a very early age, developing certain rules where academies are obligated to hire, place players from their academies, to increase that, to make academies, I think very valid points, to make academies not just for coaches, but also for players, not just for players, but also for
Yes.
coaches,
Yes.
a profitable business, which then
Yeah.
incentivizes not just football
Yeah.
passionate people, but even entrepreneurs to say, listen, I can open 20 academies across the country and I can make a profit out of it, as well as contribute to the sport and to the country. So I think these are valid suggestions. Having talked about, and I'm just sorry, I'm just summarizing some of the points
No,
that
no,
you
go
talked
on.
about,
Yeah, yeah.
but just, considering the current situation, you talked about Mission 2034. How optimistic are you of us getting there? And
Very,
how bullish are you today on
very,
Indian football?
very. See, why? Because I've just proven to the world not once but twice. And now we've done it on a stage which has been used by other countries to go and produce either world beaters, legends of football, or to go into the World Cup. It's been proven by winning the Gothia Cup. Now comes the test battle. Now if we've shown, see, it's very easy to get there, like they say. It's very difficult to stay there. Like you said, the maximum damage happens between the ages when Indians lose out is between 14 and 17, when we get separated from the herd. So
Right.
how do we make sure? So we make sure by making sure these boys get exposure every year, no matter what it costs. We get the exposure to them. We've already got interest from, by the way, West Ham Academy. We've got interest from Celtic. We've got interest from Chelsea. We've got interest from all these academies. And their rule is, once they scout someone, they follow them for a year or 2 years, because at this age, and then they see how they develop. Now, for that to happen, for me to be able to send them quality videos for them to follow, I have to make sure they play this. The only way Indians will get there is by the age of 20, 19, 20, these guys are able to get into some European club. We have one breakthrough. One breakthrough will be followed by another and another. Because clubs will realize the value of an Indian is just not on the field. They will realize the moment it's a Ronaldo, by the way. It's actually going to be as powerful as Ronaldo. So if Ronaldo signs for a club, they're going to get 20 million followers. Trust me, when the first Indian ever signs for a top European club, that day they get 20 million followers on the thing. So these days, these things matter.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so confident. If I'm able to get these boys, even 3-4 of them playing here, 3-4 of them playing in top leagues of Asia, we'll get there. And how do we get there? So we have to be in the top 4 in Asia by the time of, because see, stop saying top 8 and we just get there for participating. No, top 4 of Asia in the next 7 years. That's how we get there. Then we get to 2034. So every goal is limited. So in the 2034 plan, last year was the Mina Cup. This year was the Gothia Cup. The next year is going to be even a higher level tournament, or if you're not able to find it, same Gothia Cup, but in the next age group. So we are able to do this every single year till the time a corporate helps us. If a corporate helps me, I can do it 4 times a year. I can do it 5 times a year. And I can make sure that we get even better and better. Because now is the time to work even harder, because we've shown that we can do it. So it will be a crime against Indian football if we stop now.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And I just want to say congratulations again on the Gothia Cup. Ranjit, thank you for your time and thank you for your insights into how we can get there.
That's the aim.
There it is.
That's
there
the
it
aim.
is,
No,
guys.
that's the main one. That's the main one. That's the World Cup.
Right? The Gothia Cup.
Yeah,
the
they're
Gothia
very similar because that's the World Youth Cup and that's the World Cup. So this one I have in my office. Yeah, that's the World Youth Cup.
Okay.
So that's why it's totally the same trophy.
Okay. So, well, wish you all the best. I mean, it's very heartening to see Indians succeed in a sport which we were great at one point, and we want to achieve that greatness again. So, I hope things work out, and I'm just glad that at least someone is looking into these things and has that ambition for us to get there. So, thanks a lot, and wish you all the best, Ranjit. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Jai Hind.
Jai.